and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them? These are not people who are causing problems in our country. And what we need is a path to citizenship for them. We need to secure our border. We need to get rid of the violent criminals. But we also need to protect people, at least the residents of Illinois and all across the nation, who are just doing what we hope that immigrants will do.
There was a memo that came from the Trump Justice Department this week, and it warned that, quote, federal law prohibits state and local actors from resisting, obstructing, and otherwise failing to comply with lawful immigration-related commands and requests. The U.S. Attorney's offices and litigating components of the Department of Justice shall investigate incidents involving any such misconduct for potential prosecution. Are you concerned that Illinois state or local officials, up to and including maybe yourself, could face prosecution if you don't comply with federal immigration authorities? Obviously, you say you agree on people who are in the United States, in Chicago and elsewhere illegally, who are criminals, but what about those who are, as you say, citizens of the community?
Dana, we're going to follow the law in Illinois and federal law too. We expect them to do the same. I'm very afraid that they will not follow the law. The reason they put a memo out like that is that that's already the law. You know, we have to follow federal law. We have to follow state law. Otherwise, we're potentially subject to prosecution. Of course, we all know that. They're just putting that out because they want to threaten everybody. They want people to step back and let them do whatever they want to do, the federal officials. And the reality is that they can't break the law. You heard them talk about something unconstitutional this year, the removal of birthright citizenship. We're going to stand in the way of an unconstitutional order. We'll also stand in the way of them breaking the law in Illinois if they're not following federal law. Now, we know that if they show up with warrants to take people away, that we're going to hand them over. There are people who have deportation orders and have had for many years, even during the prior Trump administration, who need to be picked up and who are violent criminals and, again, should be deported. So we're going to do, what we need to do. But we also have a law in the books in Illinois that says that our local law enforcement will stand up for those law-abiding, undocumented people in our state who are doing the right thing. And we're not going to help federal officials just drag them away because somebody pointed at them and said, oh, that person's brown or that person's not from here. Check it out. Maybe they're undocumented.
So, Governor, that's exactly what I was getting at. You have a law in the books in your state that requires maybe local law enforcement to protect people that the federal law enforcement agents are coming in to try to deport. I mean, that sounds like a recipe for a big problem.
No, what it requires is that our local officials will not coordinate with federal officials on the arrest of people who when they don't have a warrant associated with them. Look, again, we want to get violent criminals off the street just like everybody else does, and we're going to coordinate in that. And if someone's breaking the law and they're in the process of breaking the law, or we know they've broken the law, we want help from federal officials to arrest them. But our local officials are not just going to say, well, that person seems like they're undocumented, so we're going to hand them over to you and you can figure it out.
I want to move on to other issues, and there are a lot of them that Donald Trump has on the table and has on his agenda. And I want to know your perspective on how you and other Democrats are approaching him this time around, particularly when he's doing so many things that you disagree with. You're obviously the governor of a major blue state. Have you thought about your approach, how you're going to respond to all of this? Will you pick and choose your battles?
Well, it's clear what we need to be doing is standing up for the values of the vast majority of American people and what Democrats stand for, right? We want to raise the minimum wage. They don't. They want to take away health care from 1 million people in my state. We think that we ought to make health care more affordable and more available to people. We want to lower costs for people. We eliminated the grocery tax in my state so that it would be less expensive for people to go buy their groceries. But what's Donald Trump doing? He's raising tariffs on goods from Canada and Mexico. That's going to raise prices for people. So we need to make sure that we're communicating properly. I think that's one of the big challenges that we had in